Oh my goodness, guys. Look at this treasure that I found. The Commodore SFD-1001 disk drive. These things are unobtainium. And look what I paid for it. $30. $30 for this. Wait a second. That doesn't look like a 5¼ inch disk drive. What on earth is going on here? Hi, I'm Doug from 10-Minute Amiga Retrocast, and welcome to episode 40 of the ChickenHead Chronicles. Today I'm going to be talking about that really strange SFD-1001 drive that I picked up the other day. What do you mean, where have I been for the past 8 months? I've been here. I've been uploading videos every week. Have you been seeing them? Did I forget to upload them? Oh, man. Well, regardless, I'm back. Yes, I'm back. So, let me tell you the story about this. I got a call from my favorite surplus store in Tucson here. I've talked about it before. They carry all kinds of really cool stuff. I mean, Geiger counters and airplane parts and old computers, and I picked up some really cool stuff. I picked up my pet 8032 there that you've seen in the video before. I picked up this gorgeous Commodore 128 with a 1571 drive and a printer, and every once in a while you find just gold there. So they call me the other day because I've got an open ticket there that if they get Commodore stuff in, pick up the phone, call old Dougie. So I go in there and look, and they've got two really nice Commodore 64Cs. $150 a piece. Is it a little high? Yeah, but it is what it is. No power supplies. I already own two Commodore 64Cs, and I have totally run out of room to store my stuff. I've got literally 2 locations I'm storing my equipment, and I still have too much. So I'm poking around. They've got another printer. It's a daisy wheel printer for the Commodore. It looks cool. And then all of a sudden, I see on the shelf, SFD-1001. I'm like, and I take a closer look at it. I'm like, wait a second. That is a heavily modified SFD-1001. And we're going to take a look at it together here. I've not taken it apart. I have no idea if there's even any original Commodore parts left inside that we can salvage, or if it has just been butchered and we're going to be looking at, whatever the heck the thing is. I know what it is, but we're going to find out together. Oh boy. But for $30 just to pick up the case and say I've got the case, I mean, that's worth something. Let's chat for a second about what the SFD-1001 drive is. So this little beauty looks like a 1541. It's in the 1541 shell, even basically the same beige color as the 1541. But it uses the IEEE 488 interface, which is the one that came on the PET computers. So this little guy would hook directly up to a PET, no issues at all, plug it in, she works. You want to get it to work on a Commodore 8-bit, like a 64 or a 128 or a C16, there were cartridge port IEEE 488 interfaces available that would let you hook up any of the PET printers, and they'd all work perfectly. So these were very popular in some circles on the Commodore 64. The reason they're popular is they use 1 megabyte double-sided double-density disks. That's 4,166 blocks of storage on a double-sided double-density disk. They are not backwards compatible. They will not read 1541 disks, but 1 megabyte of storage on a Commodore 64, that was huge when we were dealing with 170 kilobytes per side. Now, it also had 2 6502 chips. Count them, 2. This thing was a multi-processor beast. 4 whole kilobytes of RAM, 32 kilobytes of ROM. Literally, the thing is double the power of a Commodore VIC-20 in a lot of ways. BBSs absolutely loved them because you could store a ton of stuff on them. You could have a Commodore 64 BBS, store an absolute ton of stuff on them. And they were 5 times faster than a 1541 drive because they used that IEEE 488 interface, which was so much better than the variation of it that the Commodore 64 used that basically crippled it and slowed it down. Now, the next question is, why did some dingleberry butcher mine, and what did they do with it? Let's take a look together. This little guy is in absolutely exquisite shape. I mean, the case is flawless. Absolutely no dings, no marks, none of those, wrap the cord around it and it burns it. Look at, he's even got the little Commodore logo that's missing from so many of our disk drives. But it's got something strange in there. It has what appears to be a tape drive in there. And that's because, let's turn this little beauty around, hear all the annoying squeaking sounds. Look at that. They cut it out. Look at that. Chopped it up, cut it out, and put in a SCSI interface in here. Here's the little SCSI dial right there, so you can set your numbers and everything like that. But it really was an SFD-1001 at some point in time. They just butchered it and made it a tape drive. Now, I get it. They weren't using the SDS or SFD-1001 anymore. They wanted to do something practical with it. I totally get it. I respect it. But for God's sake, do it to a 1541, which is a dime a dozen. Don't do it to a precious SFD-1001, which are totally unobtainium. Let's take a look inside this little puppy and see what it really is. I've never had it open. Now, just like a 1541, you flip these little guys over. We're going to have 4 screws in the bottom that we should be able to fairly easily take out and get the lid off this little guy. So I'm going to go ahead and take these screws out and hopefully not lose them. Put them right in there. And then we're going to get the lid off this little guy and see what's inside. I've got this habit of taking apart 1541 drives when I'm working on them and then misplacing the screws, and I go to put them back together and I can't remember where I put all the screws, so I go out and buy new ones. And Douglas. All right, flip this little guy over and the top should in theory come off. Hey, and it does. Now let's take a closer look inside. Ay caramba, this thing has been absolutely devastated. Look at this. This is a big 5 1/4 inch tape drive. Let's see if we can see what kind it is. Warranty void if seal is broken. No, yeah. Look at this. They did a custom job here with some metal. So they did a little bit of metal work and replaced the entire guts and entire brains of this beautiful SFD-1001 with a SCSI-based tape drive. There is nothing inside left of the SFD-1001. We're just dealing with an empty shell here. Now, do I need a SCSI tape drive for any purpose at all? Absolutely not. So what am I going to do with this travesty? What am I going to do with it? So I obviously don't need a SCSI tape drive for anything. I haven't used a SCSI tape drive like in 20 years, and I have no need for one. So what cool things can we do to make this SFD look more like a real drive, but have some particular function, something that I can actually use it for to make it at least a display piece? You know, they used to take those old Macs, the original Macs, and they'd turn them into an aquarium. You know, so you're still using the shell, but you're doing something fun with it. Let's do something fun with this SFD-1001, and I would love to hear your recommendations for what I should do. But here's a couple of ideas that I've had. I've got this Buffalo. This is a networked, and it's dusty. It's a networked NAS, network attached storage. You can hook it up USB too if you want to, but it's a network attached storage drive, and it's got two, pretty traditional SATA drives in here. I think this one has a total of, it's like 2 terabytes of storage because I've mirrored the two 2 terabyte drives. But look at the size compared to our 1001. Let's take a peek. See, we've got our little drives here. Now, these are going to be too high to actually be removable on this front here. It's just not going to work. So these would have to sit back, and if I ever wanted to swap them out, I'd have to open it up the case. But I've been using this for years. I've never had to swap it out. But the guts inside of here, I bet, would fit absolutely beautifully inside this unit. I could just transplant everything, mount it in here, and just have coming out the back the power connector, the Ethernet connector, and probably the fan. Let's see how that would look. Yeah, it would be blocking the fan a little bit here, but that's not going to be the end of the world. We still might be able to do something with it. I don't want to cut any more into it, but I bet I could transplant this into here and make it a usable NAS drive, which would be kind of cool. The other thought that I've had that I've seen other people do is these card readers here. They have these that fit into a 3.5-inch drive bay. I don't think they have any that fit in a 5.25-inch bay, but they have these that fit in a 3.5-inch bay, and I could just get a 3.5-inch to 5.25-inch adapter and utilize it as just a huge card reader. I use this thing all the time, and all the connectors would be just sticking out the front. The issue is most of the ones that are designed for an internal unit do not have USB on it. They have one of the USB headers that, within the 8 pins that plug into a motherboard. So I have to think of some way to make that practical. I've got this tiny little, oh look, it's got an Amiga Love sticker, tiny little computer here. I don't even think that has one of the USB headers internally in it. I'd have to open it up again and look. But I'd like something that would connect external USB and have all of the drive connectors sticking out the front. Now, the other thing I could do with this, which I would be able to salvage some of this stuff here, is what if I scrounged around and found a 5.25-inch SCSI drive, just a CD drive. I probably have a couple of them that I haven't used in years. Nice 5.25-inch SCSI drive, put that in here, hook it up to the interface the SCSI interface that's already in here, and I've got myself a nice SCSI drive in an SFD-1001 case. And I use that with my, Amiga 3000 or my Amiga 4000, a nice external SCSI CD-ROM drive in an absolutely gorgeous case. I mean, at least it would be a conversation piece. At least I'd be getting some use out of the thing. But I would love to hear your thoughts on what I should do with this this device. I'm not going to keep it a tape drive. We're going to do something with it. But I want to hear from you guys and hear what you have to say that I could put in there to make it absolutely the coolest device on earth. If you've got particular mountable 3.5 or even 5.25-inch USB devices that come with an actual USB cable instead of one of the little headers, that'd be great. If we can find some kind of header to USB adapter, I mean, why wouldn't they exist? They might. Somebody probably makes them. Let me know. Send me a link. But thanks to all of my fantastic patrons who have been sticking with me through this rather lean period. I don't really want to get into what happened over the past 8 months, but suffice it to say, I've been so incredibly busy. I haven't had 5 minutes free time. Thank you, my friendly patrons. If you'd like to join in and help the channel out, which is going to continue, hopefully weekly, please stop over to patreon.com/10mark, and you can sign up for as little as $2 a month. Thanks, guys. Send me your ideas. I would love to hear from all of you. Follow me on all the socials. All my links are in the description down there. Blue Sky, Instagram, Facebook, you name it, I'm there. Not on Twitter, though. Nope. But until next time, this is Doug from 10 Minute Amiga Retrocast, signing out.